One of the big things about bowling in Muskegon was Brunswick was in town, so it made it a lot easier for Northway. Had all Brunswick equipment in there at one time, and probably have it all here.
Yep, a lot of just about all of our capital equipment, and still a lot of our bowling balls are Brunswick equipment.
So what was nice is if you had a breakdown, you didn't have to call very far to get
That's
back.
right, that's right, just down the road.
I can remember in league bowling, if we had a breakdown at night, we were given just a few minutes to rebuild an entire machine, so it didn't hold up that league. But this is a little bit of the history, too. And this was around when I was working there in the last century. Actually, I worked for his dad, Bob Jacobs, back in 1960 when Northway Lanes was on Whitehall Road. And we didn't use this that much, but this was an old method for actually measuring the length of your grip between the fingers. It probably came close.
It still works.
And it still works? You still use it?
Still use it, yep, works great.
Okay. And because you have all your different grips, your fingertip and all that, if I recall correctly?
Yep, that's correct, yep.
We have
fit
to,
all those on there,
and
sure.
Your holes are not always drilled straight in. They're drilled at an angle away from the center point, either in or out.
Yep, change the pitch of the fingers.
Hey, that's not bad for an old memory, is it?
Yeah, that's good.
In 1960, that was 50 years ago I did that. But it's just unique to see something like this. And then looking at the basically the alphabet on here indicates your different measurements. But we used to use these stamps and put names on balls for people so they knew of them. Because back then, every ball was a Black Beauty.
Right, right.
And now, the innovation, the changes of stuff is absolutely unbelievable. Now, these were basically kind of a hard rubber ball, were they not?
Correct.
And the core was pretty much the same all the way through, and then they were built, if I'm not mistaken, where the name was stamped on them. That was a heavier part of it, so when you drilled it out, it balanced the ball so it wouldn't.
Correct. That would be a label drilling right over the label.
Yep.
Sure, yep.
Okay, that's what it's called. I never knew that. I just drilled it there.
Label drilling, yeah.
Is that the same way with the new balls now? Or?
Well, the new balls are a lot more sophisticated, and we drill them. The layouts are very complicated compared to the old layout, so we can drill them in a lot of different places. And
okay.
There are so many different ways. The inside of the ball has changed so much more, and so they're a lot more sophisticated drilling than before. The layout of the grip is virtually the same, but the drilling is much more complicated.
Okay, but I remember one time, I probably didn't say this, but Brunswick took care of it. I remember drilling a ball one time and a fellow went out and bowled with it, and it came in two pieces. It fell right apart. And it wasn't because of the drilling, no.
Sure. No. Of course not.
It was just a bad ball. But circumstances like that, most people don't even realize can happen. But what are the balls made of today?
Well, most of the bowling balls today have a urethane or reactive urethane cover. It's a softer material that causes more friction that allows the ball to hook more. So most of these balls hook a lot more, have a lot more hook potential than the original
grabbing
balls.
onto that lane. So if you put a spin on them, they're going to curve right into.
Correct.
Jeez, I would just throw it straight. It was easier. And my hooks were always different.
Well, you want that angle in there for a little more pin action. So.
Yep. So you don't want anybody to pull out the 5-pin when they're using the pin setter, right?
There you go.
We were talking earlier about some of the things we used to do over at the old Northway when I worked with his dad. Of course, his dad didn't know about it. This was on open bowling on weekends. We could get away with it. We had friends in there. We'd pull the 5-pin and you couldn't get a strike.
That'd make it tough.
But now, what's the difference in all these balls? Well, back then, your Black Beauty was 16 pounds. And the women's balls, they use them at 14 or 12 or something like that, if I'm not mistaken. What's the weight today on them?
Well, they still go up to 16, but typically we're finding that most of the guys that have been bowling for a while are going to the 14 or 15 pound rather than the 16 because of the propensity to hit the pins a lot harder. They can actually get too much drive with a heavier ball, and the lighter weight ball makes more sense for the better strike. So
better action with a lighter ball hitting the pin?
Yeah, well, it's just a little more deflection, and they actually need that with the material. So it's, yep, I would say probably before we sold probably 50% of the balls we sold to guys were 16 pound. I would say now it's 50% are 15 pounds and 25% are 14 pounds, and maybe only 25% are
So it has changed a lot over the years.
Quite a bit.
And now the cosmetics on the balls, Any difference on them, or is it just you picking them up for the way you like them? Like we have one up there over your shoulder. It's ICU. It looks like a big eyeball.
Yeah, that's a fun one. That's a fun one. But
that's a fun one. But I mean, still,
yeah.
what you've got it's just so unique in the differences. Is there any difference of the ball in this type? Because I remember a few years back it was the Rhino ball.
Right.
And that was a purple one, wasn't it?
They had a few different colors.
Okay.
And, yeah, each color really indicates a different ball. And the cover of the ball, on the higher performance balls, the covers are different because they represent a different hooking characteristic.
Oh.
And so basically what the bowling ball does, probably 75 to 80% of what the bowling ball does is influenced by the cover and what we do to the cover. Now on the entry-level bowling balls, the colors, they're all basically the same, just different colors. So those aren't influenced by the cover like the high-performance balls.
Okay. Well, this one you can almost see depth in the color in it too. Mm-hmm. Very, very nice. And of course, this one's a little holiday one right here, if we can see
Sure.
that one. But difference between men's and women's, basically just the weight.
Really, just the weight. Most of the women that bowl often are using the higher performance balls now, so they want the same pin action that everybody else is getting, and so we accommodate that.
Okay.